let's do orchids again. Since I don't have an outdoor growing area anymore, I do need a cooler growing area for my cold growing orchids. So I came up with the idea for an indoor balcony. In this first part, I will be checking and repotting my Dendrobium nobile species. The two largest plants have been in my collection for several years now, and although they've been kept dry and shuffled around a lot over the last months, new growths are popping up at the base of several canes. They didn't bloom this year, but I'm glad they survived over the last 5 terrible months. They have been in these pots for more than 2 years now, and with the new growths progressing, it's time for a repot. Let's start with the smallest and youngest plant, a division that I got last October, and it's a selected clone of Dendrobium nobile. Roots are looking good. I only had to cut away an old piece of dead bulb. And not to forget which one is which, I immediately tied on its label again. Dendrobium nobile A nice and full-grown plant has been in my care for 5 years now. I bought it as a 3-caned division. I'm carefully removing the old bark from between the roots, hoping not to damage the new grow points. This one too still has a nice and firm root system, so the only thing I have to do is remove some very old and dried out canes. While I was cleaning up the plant, it divided itself into 5 pieces. 2 large ones with adult-sized bulbs and 3 smaller-sized multi-caned pieces. This giant-sized Dendrobium nobile forma cooksonianum has canes of over 1,20 m or 4 feet in length. This one too has been in my collection for 5 years now, and both this plant and the previous one I bought as young divisions at Akern Orchids. Both these plants are divisions of their mother plants from their private collection. Again, this orchid still has all its roots in good condition, and again I only needed to remove a few old and dried out canes. All orchids are cleaned up and ready to be repotted. Let's start with the Dendrobium nobile that divided itself when I unpotted it. I decided to pot up the two largest divisions separately and added a few of the smaller ones. This way I only had 2 pots to water instead of 5. Because the plants will be growing in the coolest place in my apartment, but it still will be warmer in winter and certainly in summer than when they used to grow outdoors in the past, I made some adjustments to my potting mix, and I will be using a mix of 10% coco husk, 5% large pumice, 5% charcoal chunks, 60% of large bark and 20% of small bark. The larger amount of charcoal is put in to absorb and compensate with the acidity of the coco husk. And because indoors the bark dries out more quickly than when it would be outside, I put in the coco husk to keep the humidity in the pot a bit higher. Since dendrobiums grow best when the roots are pot-bound, I used a smaller pot for the younger, selected form, and also so the potting mix won't stay too wet for too long, as this can result in root rot. In my experience, these plants really need to dry out quite quickly after watering. Keep in mind, I'm talking about Dendrobium nobile, the species, not the hybrids. I'll pot it up, ready for a new growing season, and hopefully they can stay in these pots for at least 2 years. In part 2, I'll show you where they will be going and how I will be watering them. Again, thanks for watching and hope to see you in part 2 of this new project.